Hi, my name is Yoon, and today I'll be presenting you on the design of wearable IoT technology for students with intellectual disabilities. So here's a table of contents for your reference. And to give you a little more background, for this project, I wanted to design and propose a wearable IoT technology for the disabled population, particularly targeting students suffering from any kind of communication disorders. So if you look at the numbers, the number of US students enrolled in special education school from age 3 to 21 has been growing for the 7 consecutive years by the year 2018. And this trend has been observed not only in the US, but also around the world, including Hong Kong. And majority of these young children suffer from autism spectrum disorder, also known as ASD, or intellectual disabilities, known as ID, which deter the development of speech and language. And the whole idea of this project really started from my visit to a special education needs school in Hong Kong in 2019. And during this rather short half-day visit to the school, I was able to observe students with severe communication disorders and witness the situations that they have to face in their day-to-day lives. And apart from being unable to communicate their needs, I think one of the main challenges for the students was that it's really difficult for them to express their emotions freely. So, for example, I observed a boy with frowning face who was almost throwing his body to the hard floor during the middle of the class. And the educational therapist explained to me that it's hard to conclude what kind of emotions the boy was trying to express. And disregarding their emotions bear consequences, and it could often lead to further stress and tension, which may lead to display of challenging behaviors, um, as seen in the image below. And these behaviors pose further risk, especially to these children, um, because severe speech and language in children not only disrupt their ability to communicate, but also prevent them from participating in community, education, and employment. So I try to find any related projects or similar product that already exist in the market. But majority of these wearable IoT devices that we know were targeted for non-disabled people. For example, as many of you already know, wearables such as Fitbit and Apple Watch have been really popular among the health conscious people, but these are targeted for mainly non-disabled people, while many of the students with communication disorder still depend on a very primitive technology, a paper-based communication system, as you can see in the figure in the slide. So despite the technological advancements in communication technologies, the access to the technological development is yet to be universal, and there still exists a huge gap between the people who have and who do not have access to these forms of technologies. And I believe the potential benefits of technology to children with communication disorders could be invaluable. So as for my objectives and contributions um, to the project, I wanted to design and propose an IoT enhanced wearable device, possibly a wristband, aimed at collecting physiological data of a user and converting that data to assess the user's emotional state and stress level in real time. And the broader mission of this project is to really close the technological gap which exists for between the disabled population and the non-disabled population, and to empower anyone who has disabilities by the power of technology. And the main target users for this project will be children who are aged between 8 to 18 with moderate level of intellectual disability who have difficulty in expressing their emotions and needs. So I conducted some market research, and as you can see from the chart, the wearable medical device market is expected to grow exponentially for about um, at least 6 times by 2026 compared to 2018. And we see a huge potential in this. So in addition to realizing potential profits, by tapping into the unreached population. I believe this project is more meaningful because it can bring new opportunities to millions by empowering anyone who has disabilities and challenges with access to life-changing IoT technologies. And fortunately, there has been an increase in market demand for such technology, mainly from the caregivers of children with ASD and ID. And according to a survey conducted by a researcher, 72% of the parents of children with ASD were very interested in the monitoring capability of their children's physiological signals to understand their current state of emotions and levels of stress and anxiety. And here's a very high level system overview of the IoT design, um, which consists of components including the wearable wristband that we plan to design and implement, and environment sensors that's readily available in the market, and cloud server, web client for caregivers and professional educators, as well as a backend database. And just to sort of give you how this system overview flows, at one, using the wearable wristband that we plan to design, we plan to collect the physiological variables from the students, which will be sent to a cloud server via cellular connection. And similarly, at two, classroom environment variables will be collected by sensors such as smartphone ESP32 and sent to a cloud to study any further correlation that might indirectly affect the student's emotions. Then at three, at the cloud server, the collected physiological data of the students will be mapped onto the valence arousal space, a vector space model. And this process will require several calibration to enhance the accuracy of this conversion from the raw physiological data into some emotions. And the emotion that has been computed by the collected data will be displayed to the caregivers, and output emotion, which is displayed on the web client, will be validated by professional educators, including children, therapists, and educational psychologists, in order to help improve the accuracy of the output. So they will then evaluate how accurate the output emotion was and feed back into the cloud server. And at five, the data collected from the classroom environment and the validation input from the professional caregivers will be stored in the database for further analysis. So as for features and functions, to sort of do a more deep dive, physiological variables, these following physiological variables are planned to be collected from the wristband, which includes blood volume pulse, skin temperature, which are highly correlated to the ongoing emotional fluctuations that the students go through. And in addition, we also plan to collect the following classroom environment variables that might indirectly affect students' emotions using a smartphone ESP32 thing. And how this really works is, for this project, we will need to conduct multiple layers of collaboration and user studies that will help us guide how to map the collected physiological data through the wristband into four typical emotions that are experienced by children with ASD, as you can see on the left, divided into four quadrants on a valence arousal space used in psychology, where valence refers to a positive or negative affectivity represented on the x-axis, as you can see in the figure here, and in arousal, which represents how calming or exciting the information is to that user, represented on the y-axis. And for the application of this project, we plan to, after a extensive collaboration process, we plan to pilot the product in actual classroom settings in one of the SEN schools in Hong Kong. Then slowly but surely, we hope to expand our scope of work to more SEN schools in Hong Kong. And one of the challenges that we anticipate is it will require extensive training sets and calibration process in order to successfully map the physiological data into emotions. And as a conclusion, there were a few takeaways for myself while working on this project. And first one was that despite exponential technological development that I was personally able to benefit from, there still exists plenty of people without access to these technological advancements who can also greatly benefit from the technology. For example, I remember I was really shocked that all the students at the school I visited had to simply rely on a paper-based communication system in in order to serve as their only one communication channel. And I also realized that ideas of these kind of projects really start from realizing that some of the things that seem so natural for many of us, such as expressing one's personal emotion, is in fact not for a certain population. So even though this project will require months of dedicated work of testing the product until it can be implemented, I hope this presentation has opened many new potential functionalities of IoT technology for people with special needs. And pending any questions, this concludes my brief.